Hi everyone, how's it going? Dr. Ivan Khan here. Here today with a very, very special guest of ours, Fatin Ishraq. As many of you know, if you're looking into a career in medicine and you're a New York State resident, there are a few great programs out there that combine college and medical school together. Fatin and I have the privilege of being graduates of a program called the Sophie Davis School of Biomedical Education. I'm a grad from way back in the day, but Dr. Fatin here, he's just a recent grad of Sophie Davis. So Fatin, thanks so much for joining our segment. How are you feeling?
Thanks for having me, Ivan. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited to talk about Sophie, and you're an alumni. I'm a current student, so this is going to be exciting.
Well, we just attended your graduation for the undergrad portion, the college portion. If you want to explain to folks at home what Sophie Davis is, we can start there.
Sure. So Sophie Davis is a combined 7-year program that combines your BS and MD. And the first 3 years is your undergraduate portion, which I just completed, and the next 4 years will be the medical school portion, and that'll be starting this August. And by the end of the program, you'll be graduating with your BS bachelor's degree and your MD degree, and you'll be on your way to residency.
So you get to combine undergrad, which I said is college, and then you have medical school. How many years is the college portion?
The college portion is 3 years.
And then the medical school portion?
4 years.
4 more years.
Mm-hmm.
So in total, you save a year.
Yeah.
A lot of folks out there who want to go into medicine may be thinking, hey, I want to apply to NYU, I want to apply to Binghamton, I want to apply to Cornell. What are some advantages of applying to Sophie if you really know that you want a career in clinical medicine?
Yeah, so basically what you just said, Sophie is a great choice for someone who really knows that they want a career in clinical medicine. And one of the advantages, as you pointed out, was the 1 year saved. Traditional routes would have you do 4 years of undergraduate and then do 4 more years of medical school. But with Sophie Davis, it's just 3 years of undergraduate or college. And the other big advantage for Sophie Davis is that you don't have to take the MCAT, which is the standardized exam all undergraduate students have to take to get into medical school.
So tell me a little more about the MCAT, because as a Sophie grad, folks at home are learning that as a Sophie student, you don't have to take the MCATs. What are the MCATs and why is it such a big stressor for college students who want to go to medical school?
Right, so MCATs can be seen as sort of like the equivalent of SATs. The SATs are very important for you to go from a high school to a college, and the MCAT would be the one standardized exam that medical schools look at to gauge whether you're good enough to get into their medical school.
So clearly at Sophie Davis there are no MCATs required to get into medical school. However, there is a trade-off in that they really, really prefer and value their students to pursue a career in primary care. We'll talk a little bit about primary care, and then we'll talk about your experience at Sophie and maybe compare it to mine. So how would you define primary care for the high school students in the audience?
Sure, so primary care is basically a combination of many different fields, but they are focused on family medicine, OBGYN, pediatrics, geriatrics, and
internal medicine. So when I applied to, back in my day, our Sophie program was matched with SUNY Downstate. You guys are going to get your MD from the CUNY Medical School.
Right.
And when you're applying at the end of medical school towards residency training programs, Sophie Davis really, really prefers that their graduates enter the primary care field. There's also a community service component, which is really important for the whole culture of Sophie Davis and the mission of Sophie Davis. Can you please tell me a little bit about the give back to your commitment?
Right, so Sophie Davis is definitely focused on primary care, and one of the biggest reasons for that is because they strongly believe, and even in their mission, they believe that primary care is the field that is the closest with patients. You get to really know a patient over many, many years. You get to know their families and everything about them, and it's just like probably the best connection a doctor can have to a patient. And that's what Sophie Davis sort of strives for. And in our courses are designed so that we connect with the communities. So I've already, for example, been to several different clinics and also geriatric centers, pediatric centers, where I've had the pleasure of working with these
I want to ask you a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
In neighborhoods, as a college student, and that's not common for students from major colleges. Tell me about the neighborhoods and what you got to do so far.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of working in many underserved communities, and these are communities where they don't have a lot of opportunities to healthcare. They don't have a lot of places they can go for healthcare, and so some of these include just around my hometown in Jackson Heights, Queens.
The Queens.
And I've also worked in Maspeth and Queens and Harlem, and also in the South Bronx. This is one of my most recent positions. And like you mentioned, these aren't opportunities that normal undergrad students would get.
I remember I had some time at Castle Hill Clinic, and I was doing family practice there. And the cool thing was the lead nurse had gone to 5th grade with Jennifer Lopez, with J-Lo, because she grew up in Castle Hill. So it's cool to just get to work in the same communities that major stars are in, and just get that early entry into healthcare. Enough about career. What's college life like at Sophie? I know a lot of our high school students are like, okay, Sophie's in the city, it's in Harlem. Harlem's gone through some changes. What's campus life like at Sophie?
I think campus life is pretty great. I enjoy being in Sophie, being on campus, because I do have an apartment nearby. A lot of students in Sophie Davis usually dorm or have a place near campus, but campus life itself is great. We share the campus with City College, and so there's lots of students all the time. There's lots of activities happening all the time, and so it's always good vibes.
Back in my day, we had the basketball tournament and sing. You all still have that?
We do. We absolutely have that. And coming through as a Stuyvesant grad, I love sing, and so it was really great to see that Sophie had their own version of sing, and I got to participate in it and keep that legacy going, basically.
You Sty guys have something for us Bronx Science folks. Right. We held down the Sophie basketball championship 5 years in a row. Every single year, from freshman year to 5th year back in our day. We had the basketball tournament down. Sing was obviously mad fun too. Any final words of advice for students out there on why they should consider Sophie Davis?
So Sophie Davis, so many things going in its way, with the MCAT, with the 3-year undergrad, but also even
save a year at college.
Right, exactly.
All right, so it's been great speaking. Thank you so much for joining this segment. What final words of advice do you have for high school students who are considering applying to Sophie Davis?
Well, if you're applying to Sophie Davis or considering applying to Sophie Davis, that's a great first step, because you've made a very good decision into your future if you want to pursue clinical medicine. And keep in mind that you will be saving an entire year from your undergraduate experience. Not a lot of people can say that. And you won't have to take the MCAT to get into medical school. But not only that, like we discussed, Sophie Davis just has an excellent environment, great community, great support. I never regretted my decision.
To all our viewers at home, thank you so much for joining us today for Why Sophie Davis. It was a pleasure to have our future Dr. Fatin Ishraq. It's been real. I'm Dr. Ivan Khan. Remember to pay it forward, and we'll see you next time.